Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Alabama, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
To be joined this morning by Coach Alvin Briggs, Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. He's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on here in the meeting on campus and what we can expect as we go forward through these playoffs. Welcome, Coach Briggs.
Hey, it's a great morning to be with you this morning. It's exciting. As we were talking off camera, it's playoff seasons. And
it is.
Here we are about to set the brackets with the Central Board and the teams here this morning.
Well, tell us, how many teams are in the playoffs? And then, am I correct in that every single coach is here this morning for a meeting?
Yeah, that will be a representative from each school via coach or principal or designee. And we ran out 216 teams that'll be here this morning.
Wow. And some of them played last night not knowing if they would be here at the meeting this morning, right?
Yeah, we had some to go down to the last minute last night with some tiebreakers. And luckily it all was cleared up on the field. We hadn't do any coin tosses. And so we're excited about that.
Well, good. So I know there's probably some really excited coaches in the next room, maybe some tired coaches from celebrating last night and then making an early drive this morning. But what is it that you will tell them in this meeting? What's the meeting about?
Well, we're just going to talk about managing the game, managing the contest. This is, for some of them, this would be the last game. For some of them, they'll move on to the next week. It's, you keep playing. If you win, if you don't, it ends your season. And so we talk about the home management and what they need to do and how the games are going to go. There will be no ties. Every game has to be settled on the field, wherever how long it goes. We'll go by the Alabama High School Athletic Association and FHS tiebreaker rules. I mean, just those things that they would normally do during the season, just going to be heightened a little bit because the emotions are a little different now. Because it's do or die. If you win, you keep moving on, and just some elements that we need to make sure to ensure that we cover. And there's some things that's going on around the country that we don't like in athletics. We want to make sure that great sportsmanship is continued and those things. So those are the things we'll go over.
Yeah, I understand. We've got a great legacy of sportsmanship here in the state of Alabama, and I know we all hope that continues. One thing that I understand takes place too is that the coaches all have to agree on the location and time of each game. Is that correct?
Yes. Each bracket, each game has a host. And the host will say, the time and the date, which is pretty much set. It's Friday night, 7 o'clock, unless some other issues they're sharing the stadium. There's a few things. And they'll decide on the number of officials. If they disagree, there's the default set there that they're here to. And then they'll talk about film exchange, and they'll get some other information from where they need to park the buses, where the band need to park, the cheerleaders, all those things, and just some logistics, because there's somebody new coming to their stadium that normally hadn't been come. It's not their regional opponent, so it's somebody new.
Right. Well, there's so much that goes into these state playoffs that, it's hard to even imagine, but we're so thankful that you and your staff at the association manages all this, keeps it all organized, keeps it all online, and that's really what this meeting is the start of today, right?
There's no doubt. Our staff does a great job. Ron Ingram, Jeff Seegers, who's over football, really start the first week of the season, because we have some region games that start. We start charting it in and knowing those things and start preparing for the playoff. This is a year-long process. I mean, it's almost like, I don't want to fast forward too far, but as soon as the season's over with, Jeff and Ron to start over, getting ready for, things again. So they do a very great job of managing it. We were at the office last night, getting everything together, double checking, triple checking, checking it again, making sure, just getting everything lined up. And of course, we kind of posted the brackets last night, and you know if you've made a mistake because somebody's going to call you, because they're waiting and watching. So you have those things you look up, you want to make sure they're right. So those are the things that staff has done a great job with.
Well, I don't know when you guys sleep, but I don't think there's going to be much sleep for the next several weeks. So tell us, going forward, looking towards the Super 7, this is the beginning. It'll culminate with the Super 7 in Jordan-Hare Stadium. That's November 30th through December 2nd. So tell us kind of, what are we leading up to here?
Well, this is the first in-person meeting, and we did some things and had some coaches talk to us. So the next two meetings will be virtual, and but also the team's cut in half. So, after this week, everything cut in half. The next two meetings will be virtual, and then the semifinals for 7A and the quarterfinals for everybody else 1 through 6 will have a meeting, and then the next week before we have the state championship, the true after semifinals, we'll have a meeting to discuss, because we'll start discussing then the possibility, if you go make it, what we need to go into the Auburn Super 7, because there's a lot of things we need right away, and some things we'll need to get ready for the communities, and the communities want to know who's coming, what they're doing. Just welcome everybody. It is not just an event.
It's not just an event. As a matter of fact, it's a highlight of a lot of these young kids' lives to make it that far. So it's so important, and all this has to be so structured and so monitored so that everything's fair, all the rules are followed, and we get, the right outcomes in these situations.
We're going to have someone from Auburn here today to talk about, the future of, Super 7 coming to Auburn. We have our event group here that kind of help manage this for us, to do some things. We'll start talking about Super 7, but we won't be Super 7 heavy, so there'll be things that'll be going on, and so we're getting ready for that culmination, but we're 5 weeks away. This is just the first week, and it's exciting, and all those teams and communities that are in there are excited, and they're just fired up and ready to go.
Well, we cannot thank you enough for your leadership, for the hard work of your staff. It's going to be so exciting to watch this unfold over the next several weeks. We will be joining you live there in the meeting in just a little while. We're going to have other interviews with coaches that are involved, but we just really appreciate everything you do.
Well, I really appreciate you, and you and I have a special with your grandfather being former executive director, and I remember going to a meeting with he was instruction when it was downtown, so hey, that's a long time there.
That's right. It's a strong legacy.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after this at the AHSAA Playoff Reveal Show.
Retirement planning, investment planning, education planning, ad valorem, blah, 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 blah. Financial planners love to show their version of a perfect retirement, but what about your perfect retirement? At AmFirst Financial, we'll get to know you first, so we can make a plan for the person you'll be years from now, and future you will be glad we planned ahead. So call AmFirst Financial today. You'll thank you later.
Everybody to the AHSAA Playoff Reveal Show. We are live here in Montgomery on the campus of AUM, and I'm so happy to be joined right now with Jack Williams from Alabama Public Television. There was a big announcement last week. An APT will actually be broadcasting the Super 7 games for the first time in history. Welcome, Jack, to the show.
Thanks, Susan. It's an honor to be here. We're
Absolutely.
Very excited to be partnering with the High School Athletic Association on this venture.
Well, and what's really exciting about this is going to make it very easy for people all over the state to tune in to the Super 7 games.
That's right. Our over-the-air, if you have no cable, no satellite, just a TV antenna, we cover 97% of the state. We're really excited about taking this statewide for the very first time. And we think it's going to be a tremendous opportunity to highlight smaller communities that don't get the attention that some of the larger schools and larger municipalities get. We're very excited.
Well, and you know, the Super 7 state championship games will take place in Jordan-Hare Stadium, but not everybody can travel that far. Some of these schools are very far away, so I think it's wonderful that we're making it so accessible to everyone around the state.
You know, we're opening doors for grandparents, not just grandparents of athletes, grandparents of band members, aunts and uncles that live in the four corners of the state. You're right, you know, we rotate between Auburn, Tuscaloosa, and Birmingham, but it's a long drive. Wherever it is, it's a long drive for somebody somewhere, and we're creating new opportunities for folks and highlighting, this is what APT is about. We're highlighting the areas that don't always get the attention they deserve, and we're so excited.
That is wonderful. It seems like a great partnership. I've been told that other states do this model. Is that correct?
That's correct. Last year I went over and watched the Georgia games. They do a 3-day event also. I spent a day on the field, a day in the truck, and a day in the studio, just seeing how they do things. I've spoken to my counterpart in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Nebraska also do this, and we're just tremendously excited to be partnering not just with the High School Athletic Association, but with other underwriters who are up and underwrite this, the Secretary of State's office, ALDOT, DHR, Google, and we're very Children's Hospital, and we're just tremendously excited about these partners and some others that will be announced and will be joining us in the next month.
Well, that just sounds like it's a win-win for everybody across the state, and really that's what high school athletics are about in Alabama. So we thank you for this new partnership. We're excited about it, and we will see you in several weeks.
Susan, looking forward to seeing you in Jordan-Hare on November 30th.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is the big time.
All right, we are thrilled to have with us BB Comer head football coach Adam Fawcett. Welcome, Coach Fawcett.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys having me.
Well, congratulations, first of all, on making it to the playoffs. You have quite a story to tell, which we're going to get to. You know, I read an article. When you came to BB Comer, you had 13 players on your football team, and you've built it up to where, I mean, obviously, huge accomplishments. Tell us about your current team.
Currently, we dress roughly 40 kids.
Wow.
Now we dress 8 through 12. Sitting at 8-2, first region championship in 27 years. So this group has, every group that's come through has kind of laid some groundwork and done some things that have been special. Last year was the first group that made it to the third round since '95. And then this group is the first group to win a region championship since '95. So each group has collectively kept building the program up and doing some things to help the program.
Well, obviously starting from 13 to now having a large team that's been successful, you've really changed the culture there. And the article I read said that the student athletes have really bought into what you're doing there, that you've got a winning mindset, you're goal-oriented, and you're compassionate. So how does that kind of play into everything that you do?
Man, I tell everybody this, the biggest key is that you got to want to be there, and we want to be there. My wife and kids are there, so that's a huge thing for me. My family is huge. She teaches 10th and 12th grade English, so she knows all the kids, and she's able to give me some insight on grades, not grades, but you know how they're doing in class and things like that. So we build those relationships. I remember the very first meeting we had with all the athletes. I told them, I said, this isn't going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it.
Right.
And that's the key is. We had to go in and change everybody's mindset. I'm also the athletic director, so we put an emphasis on all sports. And we got our female athletes in the weight room. They hadn't been in the weight room. We got our male athletes in the weight room and serious about what they were doing. And then we were able to have a little bit of success. So, you know, I enjoy the fruits of the labor and seeing the kids be successful. And that is important to me in building the guys up and building all our athletes up. One day all this is over. One day you're not going to wear the cleats anymore. You're going to put all the equipment up, and you've got to go be a man and a woman and a husband and a wife and a mother and a father, and that's important to me in building these kids.
Well, that's what it's all about. I understand also that you like to be an underdog.
Yeah, I enjoy the underdog role a little bit. I like being able to have the upset role. You know, going back to 5 years ago, we were 5 different homecomings. And if you counted our own homecoming, we played 6 homecoming games.
Wow.
The first year in which we were 2-8. And I've explained to our guys we're not the underdogs anymore. So it's kind of we're trying to get used to a different role now, where the target's on our back. So, but as we move forward, obviously looking forward to postseason and looking forward to what's next for us.
Well, do you feel like in your game against Lynette on Friday night, are you the underdog?
I don't know that we're the underdog. I think you look at the records at 8-2 and 5-5, and if you go just by record, you're going to say, hey, they're the favorite team. But you have to look at Lynette. You have to look at Coach Story and how he's built a program and the things that he's done and the state championships that he's won and things like that. You have to look at the region that they're in. Very tough region with Highland Hall, Reeltown, and Laverne. And he played all those teams very, very close. So he's going to have those guys ready, and they'll be ready to go. And it's kind of interesting when the matchups were made. I called him and I said, "Man, we finally got out of the region with you, and I have to draw you the first round of the playoffs." So him and I have a great relationship, though. Great guy, and looking forward to a good game. But I think it'll be a very good ball game.
Good. Well,
and we've got to show up and play.
You do, and what's great about the playoffs, everybody starts on an even playing field.
No doubt. No doubt.
Well, good luck to your team and you this Friday night as you play them, and hopefully you'll continue on, and we'll see you in Auburn in several weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, we are so thrilled to be joined right now with Coach Clifford Story from Lynette High School, state championship coach. Welcome.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, you obviously are here because you've made the state playoffs. You've got a big game this week. It's the game of the week. Tell me a little bit about your team this year. What makes them special?
Well, first of all, we finally developed some leadership. We're very young, but the older guys have beginning to bring the young guys along. We had some ups and downs in the beginning. We were just making a lot of youthful mistakes. And in the past few weeks, we've cleaned some of those things up, and now they finally understanding how all of it comes together like a puzzle. So we've been doing great the last few weeks.
Very good. Well, I read an article about you, and it talked about when you've been there for 14. Have you been there for 14 years?
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Well, so you've had a really long run there already. But that when you first came, that you were coming to the school that Coach Dan Washburn used to coach, former head of the AHSAA.
Correct.
And you actually, I believe, did you break one of his records?
I did.
His winning record. Okay,
I did.
fantastic. So you had some big shoes to fill. But in the article I read, you had a couple of quotes that when you arrived, that you had a vision and a plan, and that you wanted to impact kids' lives. So tell me a little bit about just kind of your coaching philosophy and how football can play into impacting kids' lives.
Well, with kids, they being pulled in so many different directions. And so my vision was to bring them in and to teach them structure, discipline, and pride. When I got there, I had a chance to look around the program, and I just had a chance to see some things that I want to implement there, some things that I pulled from Coach Tim Carter, Coach Robert Maddox, Coach Robert Hackney, those guys that I coached under. And so I took some of those things and implemented in with these guys. And moving forward, I just always talk about what I call the AAA experience, which was attitude, being attentive, and also to was attitude, attentive. I don't remember the third
those
one,
are
but
important.
yeah, it was
those.
those was just some things that I started to put together, and the kids began to realize how important it was to try to do it right every time.
Right. Yeah.
So,
well, that's huge. Well, and then besides just coaching, and let's talk about your family, because you've got a coaching family. Had the opportunity to interview your wife, who's the volleyball coach there at Lynette, and so tell us a little bit about just. Obviously, you're a sports family. Your kids are athletes. So tell us a little bit about your family. family?
Well, you know, they just grew up around the game. People always ask me, what did I do so different with my kids? I just brought them to practice. They was there when I did laundry. Actually, the coach, they would get in the way of the coach's drill. I had to move them out of the way. We just kept them around the game. And my wife, she played basketball at AUM here. And then, you know, I played football and baseball at Jacksonville State. And it just started from there. And so we want to figure out how to get us all involved, because you know how it is as a wife. They be up in the stands and they hear a lot of negativity.
Sure.
And I didn't want her to be amongst that. So we came up with a plan for her to be called an Aqua Mom. She down on there on Friday night. She provide water and towels for the kids, and she's also there for support-wise. When I, you know, had to get on for something, she always just put the arm around them, give them that mama feeling. But it just all just evolved, just being around it and growing up in it. And we just been real blessed. We've had three boys to go to school and been free. So that's really been a blessing.
That is fantastic. I like that Aqua Mom. I may try to use that myself.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Coach Clifford's story from Lynette, thank you so much, and good luck this Friday night in your big game. But then, of course, hopefully you'll continue on, and we'll see you in Jordan here for the Super 7.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Right.
I hope we can be there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Alabama. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the AHSAA.
And I'm joined now by Coach Greg Peterson of Hueytown High School. Welcome.
Welcome, Susan. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, you are one of these coaches we keep talking about that's here for the meeting this morning. You are in the playoffs, and you have a big game coming up this Friday against Benjamin Russell. Tell us, what are you thinking about this game?
Well, I haven't had a whole lot of time to spend, you know, studying them. Watched them a little bit yesterday because we played on Thursday night at Gardendale. But I know Coach Grider's done a real good job since taking over that program, and expect to have a real tough first-round game against those guys.
Yeah, so this is your 7th year as head coach at Hueytown, is that right?
It's my 4th year as head coach, but I've been there 7 total.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And, you know, I read an article about you, and it was fascinating how you are obviously a very successful football coach, but that's not your only priority there. So tell us a little bit about some of your other goals and priorities as a coach at Hueytown.
Well, you know, we're all competitors, and, you know, winning on the field is paramount, you know, but the way we talk about it as a staff, you know, that's our platform, and without winning games, coaches don't keep their jobs. So, you know, that you have to intermingle that, but, you know, just trying to develop the whole man. As we put them out into society, you know, we want to have good fathers and sons and husbands and everything else as we try to mentor these young men. But, you know, using football as that platform is just what we get to do, and all of us coaches are competitive, so the winning aspect is really good.
Right. That all plays together. So, Coach Patterson, tell us about the Building Men program.
Yeah, that's something, just reading some books. I don't really remember where I kind of robbed the idea from, but we ask all the faculty and staff in our building, including custodians, lunchroom ladies, teachers, everybody, to adopt one of our players, and just came up with Building Men, with the men standing for meeting essential needs. Kind of always go back to Maslow's, you know, theory of hierarchy. You know, if they don't have food, place to sleep, all of this stuff, they're not going to care about football, much less math or English or anything else. But just trying to build some connections with kids and faculty and staff members that didn't have anything to do with athletics. So I got all of the people that adopted a T-shirt with their player's number on the back of it, and they decorated doors, or one of our custodians even decorated her cart that she pushes around the school with her kid's name and number and all on it. And it was just a way to kind of bridge a gap and build some relationships.
Well, and I'm sure that's been successful. You plan to continue that program for many years, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is our 2nd year to do it this year, and it's been a really good thing to do, to kind of just get kids to open up to people. So, you know, it's hard to do sometimes, especially to talk about the rough stuff in their life that they struggle with.
Sure. Well, let's pivot back to football for just a minute. Tell us, what is special about this team this year?
Well, we had a lot of adversity out of the gate, you know, after playing for a state championship last year for the first time in school history. All of us have had a lot to learn how to handle that success, and moved into this year and started 1-3. And a lot of people had questioned us, but our kids have done a really, really good job of just staying bought into what we've been asking them to do, and hard work pays off. And we've gotten a little better each week, as the cliche goes, and I think we're trending in the right direction at the right time for the playoffs. But it's just their perseverance that they've overcome quite a few things this season to be where we are now.
Well, that is awesome. Well, we really hope that we will get to see you in several weeks at Jordan-Hare Stadium. But first things first, I know you've got Benjamin Russell this Friday night. You'll be the game of the week. Yep. People can watch that on WOTM and also on NFHS. So good luck this Friday night, and we hope to see you in Jordan-Hare.
Thank you very much. I appreciate what y'all do for high school football.
Absolutely. Well, it's because of people like you that we can do it. Thank you.
Thanks.
We're joined now with Coach Smitty Greider from Benjamin Russell High School. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Well, you have a big game obviously coming up this Friday, and we'll get there in a minute. But first things first, backing up, you've obviously had a very successful season. This is your first year at Benjamin Russell, right?
Yes, it is. It's been a great year for us.
Well, obviously you are a tried and true coach. If, you know, you could come in as a first-year coach and be so successful. But not only that, I read a quote where you talked about at Benjamin Russell, before you, they had 4 Hall of Fame coaches, and so there were some big shoes to fill there. How did that feel coming in?
Well, it's not intimidating, but there's a lot of respect there. You know, I know all 4 of those guys, and they're good friends of mine actually. So it's a lot to live up to. But I take pride in doing that, and it's been exciting to have their support. I've talked to all of them, and they're very supportive of what we're doing, and just, you know, want to continue the legacy that they built at Benjamin Russell. Well, and it is quite a legacy. And I read another quote from you where you talked about how you know, Benjamin Russell already had established infrastructure and traditions and a rich history of football success. And in the past, you were sort of used to building programs. So talk about how this transition was different than other schools that you've been at. Well, there are a lot of resources that were available to help us get the thing rolling. You know, it didn't take long to see how much support was there in the community, how hungry they were to bring the tradition back at Benjamin Russell to be successful. They were used to winning, and so having that to lean on was a big asset, and it really is a major part of the reason that we've had such success this first year. Good. Well, back to you as a coach. Obviously, you're pretty good at what you do because you have several players who are now playing in the NFL. Tell us who that is. Well, right now I think the only one that's currently on a roster is Cam Taylor-Britt. He played for me at Park Crossing High School. I actually played quarterback for us, and went to Nebraska as a DB, and now he's playing corner for the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's exciting. We still have several that are playing in college right now. I do have a player in the Canadian League. I'm going blank here. People can Google it. Jawan Taylor. Okay. He played at Florida. He was a safety for us at Park Crossing. And Malik Cunningham's a quarterback at Louisville, still playing. We've got them all over the South, and they actually have one at Washington playing right now. And so it's exciting to see those guys go on and have success. Great. Well, and obviously you've got a really good team this year. Hopefully some of those will move on to higher levels of football, right? Hopefully, that's right. We've got several really, really good players. Good. Well, not to look too far ahead, let's talk about this Friday night. You got a big game against Hueytown, first round of the playoffs. You're going to be the game of the week, where people can watch that on WOTM and NFHS. How are you feeling about this first game? Well, they've got a great football team. They were in the finals last year. They've got the reigning Mr. Football. And it's going to be a great challenge. I'm excited for the opportunity. I'm excited for our players to get to be the game of the week. They've really struggled through some tough years, and to have a year like this for our seniors and get an opportunity to play a team like Hueytown and be on television, that's exciting for our seniors. And you know, hopefully we can give them a good game on Friday night, and it'll be something exciting to watch. Should be a really exciting game. We've got 2 really good offenses going against each other, and I'm looking forward to it. Well, good. Well, we're looking forward to watching, and we're looking forward to hopefully seeing you in Jordan-Hare Stadium in several weeks. That would be awesome. I think it would be awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you.